There's a moment from the semi-final that went round the world in about 4 minutes. Argentina against England, Atlanta, a break in play, and Jude Bellingham walks over to Lionel Messi and starts talking. Bellingham plays for Real Madrid. He speaks fluent Spanish, so this isn't two men shouting past each other. This is a conversation. Here's what was said in Bellingham's own words afterwards. I thought there'd been a foul earlier, and he said, what about the one they committed on me? And I said, you're strong enough to take it. You know what I mean? You're strong enough to take it. Messi looked at him, made a face, nodded and turned away. Bellingham laughed and walked off, and every phone in the world had it inside the hour. England went 1-up in the 55th minute, and then a 39-year-old man set up both goals, and England went home. Hold there. Because before we talk about what happened on Sunday, you need to know who Jude Bellingham was talking to. Going into that final, Lionel Messi had played 33 World Cup matches, more than anyone in the history of the tournament. More than Cristiano Ronaldo, who played 27. More than Lothar Matthäus, who played 25. In those 33 games, he had 21 goals and 12 assists, 33 goal contributions in 33 World Cup games. The next best figure in the entire history of the World Cup belongs to Kylian Mbappe, and it's 25. Most goals ever, most assists ever, most appearances ever. One man holds all three at the same time at 39 years old. He's not hanging around at this World Cup, he's still running it. And the half of that ledger nobody talks about is the 12. 12 assists is the most in the recorded history of the World Cup. The man he took that record from is Diego Maradona, who had 8, and who is not a small name to take a record from in Argentina. But the number on its own doesn't tell you the thing. Those 12 goals were created for 11 different teammates, 11 across 6 tournaments and 3 completely different generations of Argentina teams. He didn't build that record by standing next to one great striker for a decade and rolling him the ball. The strikers changed, the managers changed, the system changed, football itself changed. Crespo, Higuain, Di Maria, Alvarez, McAllister, Lautaro, nearly 20 years, and the only constant in the entire thing is the same man, still finding the pass. He's created more chances than any player in the last 60 years of the tournament. Second on that list is Maradona on 71. 13 Man of the Match awards, which is the most anyone has ever had. 2 golden balls, which no other man in the history of the World Cup has ever won. 6 goals from outside the box, which is also a record. So he holds the goals, the assists, the appearances, the chances, the Man of the Match awards, and the golden balls. There's not really a category left. And the reason that ledger means anything is that it took 20 years and most of them hurt. 2006, Germany. He's 18. He comes off the bench against Serbia and Montenegro, sets up Hernan Crespo, and then scores himself 6-0. A kid announcing himself on the biggest stage there is. Argentina go out in the quarterfinals. 2010, South Africa. He is by now the best player on the planet. He doesn't score a single goal, not one in the entire tournament. Argentina are taken apart by Germany in the quarterfinals, and the criticism starts properly. The one that would follow him for a decade. Brilliant for Barcelona, nothing for Argentina. 2014, Brazil. This is the one that nearly did it. 4 goals, he drags a limited team to the final at the Maracanã. Mascherano throws himself in front of Robin in the semi to keep them alive, and then Mario Götze scores in extra time, and it's over. Messi walks up to collect the golden ball as the best player at the tournament, past the trophy, and he looks at it. That photograph did more damage to him than the defeat did. Some pundits said he'd been disappointing in the final anyway. 2018, Russia. 1 goal, he misses a penalty against Iceland in the first game, out in the last 16 to France. The earliest Argentina had ever gone out with him on the team. He was 31 years old. He had already retired from international football once, 2 years earlier after losing another final on penalties, and had been talked back into it. And the sentence people had been building for 12 years finally arrived, fully formed. He will never win a World Cup. It was, at that point, a completely reasonable thing to say. 4 tournaments, 1 final, no trophy. A country that had watched Maradona do it in 1986 and had been waiting and had decided this one wasn't the same. 2022, Qatar. 35 years old, 7 goals, 3 assists. In the final, he scores the penalty. He plays the pass that releases McAllister for Di Maria's goal. He scores again in extra time to make it 3-2, and then he steps up in the shootout and rolls it past Lloris like it's a Tuesday. 16 years after the kid came off the bench in Germany, he finally had it. That is the part people forget when they list the records. He lost publicly for 12 years in front of a country that was not always kind about it, and he kept coming back. Which brings us to this one, number 6. Nobody has ever played 6. June the 16th, Kansas City, Argentina against Algeria. 20 years to the day since he made his World Cup debut. He scores 3, the first World Cup hat-trick of his entire career, at age 38 in his 6th tournament. It made him the oldest player ever to score a hat-trick at a World Cup, and it drew him level with Miroslav Klose on 16 goals, which was the all-time record. But that isn't the part that stayed with people. After the first goal, Lionel Messi cried, and everyone assumed they knew why. The 6th World Cup, 20 years to the day. The weight of it wasn't that. I cried after the first goal, yes, but it was something completely unrelated to football. I went through some difficult days, but I'm grateful to the entire delegation and my teammates because they were always by my side, giving me a lot of strength to help me get through it. 2 days later, his family released a statement. His father, Jorge, 68 years old, had been undergoing treatment for an illness. He was recovering and progressing well. That's what they chose to say, and that's all anyone needs. So, the greatest goal scorer in the history of the World Cup opened this one by scoring 3, crying after the first and telling everybody it had nothing to do with football. And then he went back out and broke the record. June the 22nd, Arlington, Texas, Argentina against Austria. He scores both goals in a 2-0 win, and the second one takes him past Miroslav Klose. 18 goals, the all-time leading scorer in the history of the Men's World Cup. Klose had held it since 2014. Before Klose, Ronaldo. Before Ronaldo, Gerd Müller. Names that had stood for 50 years. He didn't stop there either. He kept scoring. He became the first player in the history of the tournament to score 9 consecutive World Cup matches. By the semi-final, he had 21. Now, about that Bellingham thing. Here's the pattern, and it repeats often enough that you'd think people would learn it. The last 16, Atlanta. Argentina 2-0 down to Egypt with about 15 minutes left. Gone. Defending champions out on the way home. 79th minute, Messi finds Christian Romero and it's 2-1. 4 minutes later, he hits one himself from inside the box and it's 2-2. Argentina score a third in stoppage time. No team in the history of the World Cup had ever won a knockout match inside 90 minutes after being 2 goals down with 15 to play. No reigning champion had ever come back from 2 down at all. They did it in about 12 minutes because the little man decides they're not going home. Then Switzerland in the quarterfinal, 3-1 after extra time. His corner finds McAllister and that's the assist that takes him to the all-time record. Then the semi-final, and there's a detail about that night that almost nobody picked up. Lionel Messi has played 205 times for Argentina. He has faced 58 different countries. He has scored against 45 of them. He had never played England, not once. Of the 20 nations who have played the most World Cup football, England was the only one he had never met in his life. He waited 20 years to play England once. So England lead. Bellingham tells him he's strong enough to take it. Messi sets up Enzo Fernandez. Then he crosses for Lautaro Martinez in stoppage time. 2-1, England out. Argentina hadn't beaten England at a World Cup since 1986, since Maradona, 40 years. He also ran 8.5 kilometers that night at 39, which was more than he'd covered in any 90-minute match all tournament. He didn't say anything about it afterwards. He never does. That's not the deal. The deal is that you say something and then 20 minutes later you're watching him do a lap of honour. And to be fair to Bellingham, he was honest about it when it was over. Obviously, I'm on the losing side, which hurts a lot, but it's a privilege to play against one of the best. Which brings us to the other one, the next one. Lamine Yamal is 19 years old. He turned 19 4 days ago in the middle of this tournament. He has been called the future of football since he was 15, and it might well be true. This was supposed to be his coronation. The kid takes the game off the old man. On the night, the old man says goodbye. It writes itself. He scored once in the whole tournament. Spain got to the final without needing him to be the reason. Oyarzabal scored the goals. That's not a criticism. He's only 19. He has 2030 and 2034 and probably 2038. It's just a fact worth sitting next to another one. Lionel Messi played in a World Cup in 2006. Lamine Yamal was born in 2007. Messi had already played a World Cup before Lamine Yamal even existed, and on Sunday they were on the same pitch in a final and one of them was 39. There's one thing missing from all this. In 6 World Cups, Lionel Messi has never won the Golden Boot, the prize for the tournament's top scorer. He's never had it. He came closest in 2022. He went into that final leading the race, and then Kylian Mbappe scored a hat-trick in it and took it off him. Argentina won the World Cup that night. Messi walked away with the trophy and the Golden Ball and not the Golden Boot. Now look at where it stood going into Sunday. Messi 8 goals, Mbappe 8 goals, level. The first tiebreaker is assists. Messi had 4, Mbappe had 3, which means the thing that put Lionel Messi ahead in the Golden Boot race for the first time in his life was the 2 assists he produced against England. The 2 he produced in the 40 minutes after Jude Bellingham told him he was strong enough to take it. And Mbappe's last chance to answer it was the 3rd place playoff on the Saturday, the day before the final. So when Messi walked out at MetLife on Sunday, he already knew the exact number he needed, not that he cared. So that's what he'd done to get there. Here's what happened when he arrived. Nothing. That's the honest word for it. For 90 minutes, Spain did to Lionel Messi what no team had managed in 20 years of trying. They took the ball away and they never gave it back. Argentina didn't manage a single shot in the 90. Not one. The team that had scored 19 goals getting there, that had come back from the dead against Egypt, that had broken England's hearts, finished the night with 2 attempts and neither of them was on target. Messi touched the ball 15 times. 15. Lamine Yamal, 19 years old, touched it 26. His one moment came in the 5th minute. Alvarez slid him through one-on-one, nothing between him and the goal, and Unai Simon got to the ball first. That was it. That was the night. Enzo Fernandez was sent off in stoppage time, and 39 seconds into the second half of extra time, Ferran Torres scored the only goal. The only reason it took that long was Emiliano Martinez, who made 11 saves, a record for a World Cup final, in a losing cause. Spain were better, not slightly better, comprehensively, patiently better. And the Golden Boot had already gone. On the Saturday, in the 3rd place match, Kylian Mbappe scored twice against England. That took him to 10 goals for the tournament, 2 clear. It also took him past Messi as the World Cup's all-time leading scorer, 22-21. The record Messi Messi had taken off Klose in June lasted 26 days. So when Messi walked out at MetLife, the number he needed was 3, a hat-trick, in a World Cup final at 39. He'd scored 1 against Algeria 5 weeks earlier, so you couldn't quite rule it out. He got 15 touches. So in 6 World Cups, Lionel Messi never won the Golden Boot, and the goals record belongs to Mbappe now. What's left is everything else. The assists, the appearances, the chances created, the Man of the Match awards, the 2 golden balls no other man has. The set stays 1 item short. It always will. And I want to be careful with this part, because losing a World Cup final is not a small thing. He's now done it twice, but look at how it happened. A 19-year-old prodigy did not take it off him. Yamal played well, more of the ball than Messi all night, a free kick that nearly won it, but the coronation people had written never arrived. The goal was Torres's from Nico Williams. Spain won it as a team, the European champions, a side that kept 7 clean sheets in a single World Cup. That didn't allow the defending champions 1 shot in 90 minutes. Nobody does that to Messi's Argentina. They did. He has now played in 3 World Cup finals. Only a handful of men in the history of the game have done that. He lost 2 of them and won 1. And the one he won took him 16 years. At the whistle, he sat down on the pitch and watched Spain celebrate. He collected his runner-up medal, and as he walked away, he broke down in tears. He didn't stop to speak to reporters. There was nothing left to say that the 20 years hadn't already said. So that's it then. The end of the most watched 20 years any footballer has ever had. Except there's the thing nobody seems to have noticed. He never said it. Cristiano Ronaldo came out after his tournament and confirmed it plainly. 2030 is not happening. That was his last one. Messi has said no such thing. Not before the final, not after it. He walked out of MetLife without a word. The night before the final, he posted a message to his teammates, thanking them, calling the squad a family, saying that whatever happened on Sunday, they'd already written something that would never be forgotten. People read it as a goodbye. It never actually says goodbye. Scaloni was asked on the Friday whether this was the end. His answer, word for word, I don't know. What do I know? I have no idea. And then he never stops surprising. And here's what makes the question real. Argentina are already qualified for the next one. 2030 is a centenary, 100 years since the first World Cup, and it opens in Uruguay, in Paraguay, and in Argentina. A World Cup that begins in his own country. He'd be 43, older than any outfield player has ever been at the tournament. Everybody keeps writing the goodbye, the last dance, the final chapter, the end of an era. 20 years of it now. He's never signed any of it. You're strong enough to take it, they told him. That's because he was.